GGs, Dandadas, Hyenas, Scuba Dives one from Scuba Steve. What's criminated, y'all? I rock Luther King X. Don't forget the Kennedy doing his millimeter march right here on YouTube. We conducting ourselves the most highest Dandada. We war ready right now. Are y'all war ready, Dandada? I hope y'all roll ready, Dandada. You heard the GGs, Dandada. We're in the elevator. Who's elevator? God's elevator. We're doing our millimeter march right here on YouTube. We conducting ourselves in the most highest Dandada. Life's what you make it. You can't love it. You can't hate it. It's gonna be simply what you make it, Dandada. You know, I had to come over here with my samurai sword, Dandada. I had to come through I had to come through with the samurai sword. GG, you heard the data? Like y'all really think this war shit is a joke, GG? Nah, I think this war shit serious, the data. Like y'all really think that niggas is outside the data playing around with their lives, the data. Nah, the data, you try to come get me, the data, you're not even gonna get a bullet. You ain't gonna have no head with taking your whole shit off, the data. That's what say Finny Indy no act, the data. So we at war right now, the data, and a lot of people want to know the data. Are we at war, the data? Are we at war, the data? Because all right, before we start the data, shout out to the president, the data. Shout out to the president. Shout out to Donald Trump. Shout out to the past presidents. Shout out to all the presidents. You know what I'm saying? We are part of America, so shout out to the presidents, the data. Shout out to the presidents over there, the data. Shout out to the deceased president in Iran. So this is what it is, Dandada, right? At the end of the day, Dandadas, right? We at war, Dandada. Why are we at war right now, Dandada? Like, all right, a lot of people don't want to talk about the war politics. A lot of people ain't really trying to speak on the war politics. A lot of people, Dandada, don't want to understand, Dandada, what's going on, Dandada. And I wouldn't mind if we was at war, Dandada, and it didn't bother us, Dandada. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't automatically get affected by it, so be it, Dandada. You know what I'm saying? Donald Trump, handle your war however you want to handle it, Dandada. But no, Donald Trump, Dandada, inserting himself, Dandada, right? In the war that's all the way halfway across the world. Them people was not, they wasn't sending nothing towards us. They couldn't really mess with us, Dandada. Come on now, we America, Dandada. They wasn't going to come over here and mess with us and shit like that. But no, they want to insert themselves, Dandada, right now, Dandada, to try to take over Iran or put someone else in Iran, Dandada, that's going to work with them and shit like that, Dandada. Like, dog, if you was going to jump in the war, Dandada, when you jumped in the war, prices for gas was $2, Dandada. Real shit, $2. We was loving it, Dandada. Gas prices have risen, Dandada, ever since this war. Trump, Dandada. Like, what's going on, GG? Like, gas prices has risen, Dandada. So now we want to know, Dandada. Yo, Donald Trump, what are you doing, Dandada? First, you want to go at Greenland. Now you in the Middle East, Dandada. You know what I'm saying? Where humanity was first, Dandada, risen from, Dandada. Now, Dandada, you just automatically. Now you just, you know what I'm saying, automatically just trying to show that you a bully. Why insert yourself in something that's going to ruin us financially? Now we gotta pay for the war. Now we got wages of living done skyrocketed, all you gas prices is skyrocketed. All you prices done skyrocketed. Like, yo, Trump, can we have a decade, of fucking some peace of relaxation, of having some fucking, of being fucking the richest country in the world? They say this is America's the richest country. It don't fucking look like it, Like, we always gotta pay, That's why this is the richest country, because every American, gotta pay, We all gotta put into this war, We gotta pay for gas prices going up. We gotta pay. Come on, Trump, what you doing, We fuck with you, but damn, So this is what it is, You go to another country, right? At the end of the day, it's like America's smart, because they'll try to overthrow the president, It's like coming to America. A lot of Americans probably ain't messing with Donald Trump. A lot of Americans, there's Democrats. A lot of Americans, when Donald Trump was getting, he was getting shot at left or right or whatever the case may be. A lot of Americans was, you know what I'm saying, they had some very disgusting minds to say about Donald Trump. They was like, yo, I wonder next time they ain't going to miss. Oh, that was just a great spot. He better be watching. So they looking for like people like Democrats and people they looking for Trump. But it's not about that. So let's get into the war. What is this war really about? Like this war started, I feel like this war started a long time ago. And for some odd reason, they just inserted themselves to spring it back up. Like every fucking year, you want to have some fun as presidency. You want to blow up some things, bring the American. Like, come on now. Why can't we just stay out of this? Why can't we just stay out of this war? It's crazy,
and turned east with hopes of finding the fuel they needed to build their power. The US presence in the Middle East started with one little dot right here. But soon that dot would expand into a sprawling network of alliances, covert attacks, flows of weapons.
You know what's crazy, Do you actually know what's actually crazy, That America went to Saudi Arabia, like they said, can they look for oil, in a couple places? Boom, they happened to strike oil. When they strike oil, right? America's like, no, can we put a military base over here, so we could think, so we could think. The crazy part is, you gotta watch America, nigga. America will put a gun in your hand, and they're like, oh, he got a gun. Motherfucker, you just gave me this gun. Oh, he killed 10 people with the gun that he had, Oh, yeah, he's a bad president. Wait a minute. I brought this gun from you. What you trying to say, like? You gotta watch America, nigga. America will trick you easily, So America goes to Saudi Arabia. They go look for oil, They find oil. Now they're like, yo, can we put a military base here, so we could have the oil, so we could protect the oil? Saudi Arabia says yes. Saudi Arabia, you should have said, can we put a military base in America? Like, Americans ain't letting y'all put military bases over here, So why the hell, will you let America put a military base there, And that's the first start, to taking over the country, Putting a military base on camp, So when it's time to go off, they could just walk off right there, That's crazy. And this started back in the day, So we gonna give you the whole Middle East, how it starts, how the oil started, Osama bin Laden, why Osama bin Laden had beef with Israel. Osama bin Laden really didn't have beef with Israel, but he wanted to help Israel. Israel declined Osama bin Laden's offer. Osama bin Laden, right? His father, he's an architect, He builds buildings. He was building all the buildings for Americans, America, had Osama bin Laden, his father, in a deal, to build mad buildings or whatever case may be. That's why Osama bin Laden went towards the Twin Tower buildings, because he was an architect. He knows the weakest points. He knows what the weakest points of the building at, how to hit them, or whatever the case may be, So Hassan Hussein, he was beefing with Iran. So Hassan, he was beefing with Iran, So America was helping Assam, at first, but when America helped Assam, they're like, oh yeah, he got nuclear weapons or whatever the case may be. He's gonna be able to hit us. Like, you was helping these people, You gotta watch America, America's just trying to take over the world, America's over here trying to take over the world, Like, or you gotta be in alliance with them. Like, what the fuck, GG? Nah, let everybody be themselves, GG.
Money, and the building of innumerable bases, and eventually turning into full-on ground wars. This is how the US stole the Middle East.
Ready and willing to employ all means necessary.
Okay, so it's the 1930s, and the US doesn't have a significant presence in the Middle East at this point. But that's about to change, because there's a company based in California that wants to explore this vast desert for oil.
11,000 miles from San Francisco, there lies a primeval desert. A mass of drifting sand and sun-baked earth, 1/3 the size of the United States.
This is sort of a risky decision for the California company, because first off, they had no idea if there was actually any oil here.
They knew it would mean sinking into the desert the money of thousands of stockholders in a project that might well end in complete loss.
And second off, this desert was a part of a very hardcore religious kingdom.
The fact that Mecca is the source and the shrine of Islam gives Saudi Arabia a central place in the Islamic and therefore the Arab world.
That was home to the holiest sites in Islam, run by a dogmatic royal family that did not like outsiders, especially non-believing Westerners. But even still, the king of the desert kingdom eventually gives the California company permission to explore almost 1 million square kilometers of this desert looking for oil. And after a few years, the bet paid off. And on March 3rd, 1938, in this little patch of coastal desert, they struck gold. Well, actually, they struck oil, but
we gotta explain the beginning, how the war, how they was beefing, how Iran got Iran, how Iran borders patrol, how Iran had the oil, like the shipment, 20% of the shipment oil. Like we gonna get into it, but we gotta start from the beginning. This shit ain't start from right here, This shit been started, ever since America went to Saudi Arabia to go look for some oil, right? Saudi Arabia, they smart, they got money. America smart too, Because America, right? This is what America does, They got tanks and everything. All they got to be like, yo, you want us to help you? We'll give you tanks. All you need is the soldiers. You got plenty of soldiers, We bring you the tanks, the thing, you can fight the war. We give you the best technology that you can fight, And that's what it is, GG. But this is what it is. If Saudi Arabia comes in cahoots with America, guess what happens, The whole Middle East, There's so many countries over here that's trying to come at Saudi Arabia now, But, Saudi Arabia got the money, So Saudi Arabia, that's why they allowed America, to have a military base there, But, man, they bugged out for that one, Because at the end of the day, America was helping Assam before, And America helping Assam, actually cost him his life. Because they was giving him these chemical things to fight the war with, and he was using them, and then they went to look for him, That's crazy work. Like, you give me the weapons that I use and say that they illegal, but you gave me the weapons and you could use them. And then America, right? America, they shot down, Ronald Reagan, shot down, a fucking aircraft, a personal aircraft carrying like 200 something people, on the aircraft. Ronald Reagan shot that shit down, like kill innocent people, bro. A whole innocent, like these, like yo, bro. If y'all using bad tactics, I don't know, GG. You know what I'm saying? You use the bad tactics, innocent people, a whole plane, That's crazy, GG. But we gonna get to that.
it might as well have been gold.
Shit different, bro. Shit different, So right now we at the beginning of the time, America, just went to Saudi Arabia, trying to get oil. I mean, said, can they look for oil, They said yes, they can look for oil. They find oil, they strike oil. Now they say, yo, can we protect oil, We're getting rich. Can we protect it with a military over here? They say yes, You know what I'm saying? But they just said you can't plant a flag. Like, what the fuck? You can't plant an American flag here. No one gives a fuck about planting no damn flag, You heard,
40s, American oil executives, workers, and their families started flocking to the Middle East, establishing the first significant American presence in the region. They set up little cities around the oil operation that were little slices of America, full of the deepest sinful behavior, like allowing women to drive and the consumption of alcohol.
Here is another American colony, complete with air-conditioned houses, 2 hospitals, and an outdoor movie theater.
This is the sort of stuff that is very off limits in Saudi Arabia. It's literally illegal at this point. So you have a lot of Saudis who are not happy about their government letting the Americans in to behave however they want. But the oil kept flowing. And soon the US government goes to the royal family and says, listen, the oil is flowing better than ever. This is awesome. How about we build a little military base attached to our little oil city so that we can, protect you and protect us and protect the oil and stuff. And the Saudis are like, okay, having the great Satan come to our country for oil is one thing, but letting them set up a full-on military base on our soil, and especially when like everyone in our country is not happy with their presence in the first place. But, said the royal family, all of this oil is really valuable and it's really nice and we're getting super rich. So they're like, yeah, sure, set up the base. But there was one stipulation that the Saudis had for the Americans. You are not allowed to literally plant a flag, no flagpoles of the United States. You cannot put your flag anywhere on this base. Instead, you can put a little plaque on the side of the building. So
yo, whoever's a Saudi Arabian president, I'm like, yo, you know what? We want to build them. Yo, we trade. You give us a military base in America, we give you a military base over here. Like, that's what I'm saying, Like, that's the only way this is gonna work. So you give us a military base there, we give you a military base here. You know what what I'm saying? Works for me, works for you.
that your flag is not literally on our soil. And that was the deal. And that's exactly what happened. The US sets up its first military operation in the Middle East in the form of a landing strip that is right next to this oil field. Okay, so all of this infrastructure that the Americans were building required someone to build it. They needed a construction company. And there was one construction company that the Americans really liked that helped them build their oil city and their base. This company was founded and run by a guy named Mohammed. Now listen, do you think I'm really giving you the backstory on the construction company that
So
built
that
the air
dude
base?
Muhammad right there, that is Osama bin Laden's father. And Osama bin Laden's father had 22 wives, and I think he had like 20 something kids. How many kids did he have? Let's check. How many kids Osama's father had? So this is how Osama bin Laden gets into the picture from the jump. His father was the architect for Americans. Americans loved Osama bin Laden's father. I mean, the president.
In the oil city, just because that's interesting and I like to talk about construction. No, this is actually very relevant to the story, and you will see why very soon. So the Americans and the Saudis are having this forbidden oil bromance, and it's going really well, and the oil is flowing, everyone's getting rich. And meanwhile, the rest of the Middle East is looking at Saudi Arabia and they're like, dude, WTF? Why are you like in bed with America? And like, why are you letting them set up a landing strip in your country? And the Saudi royals are like, do you realize how rich we're getting right now? Like, if you were in our position, you would do the same thing, Egypt. Okay, so it's the 1950s, and
so you gotta think about it. America, they always waving their money around. So they come over here. They're like, yo, we could give you tanks. We could get you airplanes. We could get you jets. Just let us put a military base right here. And we'll help you. People try to come over here. Try to mess with you. But you gotta give us some type of you know what I'm saying? Getting seen here. You know what I'm saying?
let's get back to Mohammed, the construction guy. His company, by this point, is thriving. The American presence in oil land is just exploding, and he is building all of the stuff for it. And so this guy has a giant business. And he starts to have children. Well, in fact, he had a lot of children, like 54 children, because he had 22 wives, because...
That's great. Osama bin Laden got 51 brothers and sisters? Man, Osama bin Laden's still alive, Dada. That's crazy. He got 51 brothers and sisters, Dada. What the heck in the world?
That is a thing in Saudi Arabia to this day. Anyway, the point is, one of Muhammad's sons is named Osama. I told you this was going to be relevant. Okay, a reminder that Saudi Arabia is not the entire Middle East. So I'm going to leave the Osama bin Laden cliffhanger for a moment to tell you what else was going on in the Middle East at this time. Remember that it was the hunt for oil that brought the US to Saudi Arabia originally. But now, in the 50s and 60s, there was a new reason for the US to think about the Middle East. And that reason is because there's another big superpower that has nuclear weapons, called the Soviet Union, who is coming into the region and saying to everyone, come join Team Communism. And the US is like, hold my beer.
They don't want you to know.
Hey, real, Dada.
Hey,
so guess what they want? Guess what they don't want to do, Dada? They don't want the Soviet Union, Dada, to start getting people, Dada, but they ain't starting war with them, Dada, but they gonna try to, Dada, get everybody else on their side. Before the Soviet Union gets everybody on their side, hold up, Dada. Let me get them on the American side.
So in addition to oil, the US is now involved in trying to not let the Soviet Union have any power in this region. Over in Iran, there was a democratically elected leader that the US didn't like. They thought he was maybe a little too friendly with the Soviet Union. So they worked together with the British to literally overthrow the government of Iran so that they could install a dictatorial leader that was more friendly to the United States. Little side note here.
That's crazy, Dada. Look at the last dictator of Iran, Dada. He looked like a very smart, intelligent person. The next dictator of Iran, Dada, he got gold medalist, Dada. He got all this stuff, Dada. He looking like an American soldier, Dada, from the fucking 1600s, Dada. Like he looking like Christopher Columbus over there, Dada. Like, what is going on, bro?
The airport that I fly out of here in DC is named after the guy who like gave the go-ahead for this coup in Iran.
What the hell? The DC airport is named after this Middle East dude that used to dictate the Iran. What are we beefing with them? If you got an airport that's named after the dude the dictator of Iran back in the day, why the fuck are you beefing with them? Like, you know what I'm saying? You sticking your nose where they don't hit but this is what it is. Donald Trump, we don't like if you beefing with people like that has nothing to do with us, but dang, you got the gas prices going up, like you putting us in this, you go through your mistakes, you put the whole America with you, like what the fuck, we can't eat, we can't be living like we in America, we gotta, every time you make a mistake, we gotta go back to the basics, like come on, Donald, we don't want to pay $5 for a gallon no more, like we've been, like I thought that shit was over, I thought that was over, but you know, this is crazy politics, That's why we try to stay out of it, because we try to stay far away, but they put us in, Like, you mixing up the environment up. You going all the way to the other side of the world, is messing up shit that's happening in America. Damn, what the hell? That's like the plug. Every time the plug go meets the connector, right? That's like the plug. Every time the plug go to Mexico, to Cuba, he gets to a fight with the cartel and shit like that, now, he ain't getting no thing. Every time you go see the fucking plug, prices go up, like, what the fuck? Yo, we need someone else that's messing with the plug, Every time this dude goes somewhere else, he jump, and you didn't even have to jump in that situation, bro. That's between Israel. We know that you're in cahoots with Israel. Israel hooked you up right there, but damn, what is going on, bro?
John Foster Dulles. So I'm reminded of the whole Iran thing every time I fly. So the US has its oil thing. It's now involved in trying to prop up a dictator in Iran. There's another big thing happening that brings the US into the region, which is that the newly declared state of Israel is starting to piss off its neighbors and starting to look to the US for support. And the US gladly offers it, seeing Israel as a friendly nation in the region that could be a big proponent of U.S. interests. So the U.S. starts to fund Israel with tons of money and fighter jets and all of these things to help them fight their wars against their Arab neighbors. There was a debate happening in the United States on whether or not they should actually do all of this to support Israel so intensely, because they knew if they did, they were going to piss off all of the neighbors in the Middle East. And all of the neighbors are the ones who had the oil. In the end, the U.S. did decide to support Israel. And with that came a major backlash from all of these oil-producing countries in the neighborhood.
It is a crisis of such proportion that we probably haven't even begun to grasp it yet as far as the country is concerned.
Scenes like this are becoming all too common on both sides of the Atlantic. But for America, they are more ominous. They tell the Arabs that their oil weapon is wounding America, the country that supports and supplies their enemy Israel.
Eventually, this backlash against supporting Israel kind of calmed down. There was some peace talks. And anyway, let's get back to Mohammed, the construction guy, and his son Osama, because this is where it really starts to heat up.
We decided to put together this compilation of all our Middle East videos because there are...
Y'all gonna think Osama is just a bad dude, but in reality, Osama tried to help them out,
Of oil and the Western invasion it has brought.
So it's now the 70s, and Mohammed bin Laden, the construction guy, is now insanely rich. His construction company is giant, his 54 children are also rich, and his son Osama is growing up and is in his 20s and is looking around at all of this stuff happening in Iran and in Israel, and is starting to feel really uncomfortable with the notion of his family being so supportive of presence in the Middle East and his government, this religious kingdom, home of Mecca and Medina, being so okay with the U.S. so embedded in the Middle East at this point. These are ancient holy lands. Why is my government and my family supporting this great Satan superpower coming in and becoming so involved in the Middle East? So bin Laden sets out on a lifelong quest to fight back against these superpowers, not just the US, but also the Soviet Union, invading the Middle East. He heads to Afghanistan, where the Soviet Union is invading Afghanistan, trying to take it over. Bin Laden wants to fight back. By the way, the same year in Iran, that dictator that the US put in gets overthrown in a giant religious revolution that gets rid of the old dictator that the US liked and puts in a religious government headed by this guy, Ayatollah Khomeini. This new government takes a bunch of Americans hostage. And
you see the data. So America, they've been trying to take over Iran, so they try to take the first dictator, they took off you know what I'm saying? They placed him there. They placed the dictator there, you know what I'm saying? The British in America took them off, placed over there, but it didn't work. He got overthrown. Now we back at the beginning. We back at the religious thing. Now they kidnapping Americans and stuff like that, to get them out of there. You know what I'm saying? America try to slowly, you know what I'm saying? America slowly try to, you know what I'm saying? Try to get crazy on them.
And starts off hating the United States. And I mean, can you blame them? If someone overthrew the person I elected, I would be pretty pissed too. So anyway, back to bin Laden. He arrives to Afghanistan with a few things. Number one, a bunch of money. Remember, his family's like super rich. He also comes with construction infrastructure because he's like a construction guy. Like his family knows construction and infrastructure building. But most importantly, he comes with an obsessive dedication to fighting back against any superpower that is invading the Middle East. So Osama joins in with all of these rebel fighters who are fighting back against the Soviet Union. And they fight a long, brutal war. By the way, the US was secretly loving this, loving that the Soviet Union was getting like beat back by these like rebel fighters. So they end up sending loads of weapons and money and support to these fighters, something that will come back to bite them a few decades later. Eventually, Osama and the Afghan fighters beat back the Soviet Union. It was 10 brutal years of war, and by the end, these fighters were battle-hardened.
Here we go again.
Osama wasn't playing. He put himself on the front line, yo. That's it.
Completely dedicated to his cause of fighting back against superpowers who were coming into the Middle East. So he returns back to Saudi Arabia, where he starts raising money and awareness for his new group that he started while he was in Afghanistan. It's called Al-Qaeda. And the mission of the group is to protect Islam through violently striking back against big superpowers coming into the Middle East. And Saudi Arabia's like, Osama, like, do you have to do this, dude? Do you realize how rich we're getting? Like, Saudi princes are living on yachts in the south of France and like flying in their private jets. And they're like, dude, chill. Like, it's fine. We get it. We don't like the United States, but like, can you like maybe chill? Our partnership with the United States is actually turning out to be really great. And I know, yeah, they're really into Israel and they're really bad and everything, but like, they buy our oil and they give us weapons and we're like doing just fine over here. Osama doesn't chill, and the Saudi government eventually takes away his passport, not letting him leave, and told him to hush up with all the anti-American holy war talk. So Osama finds another plan to maybe win back the heart of the royals.
That's different, Dada. They said, yo, Osama, Dada, we taking your passport, Dada. We don't want you, Dada, going to no other countries. We don't want you, Dada, acting all crazy, Dada. We don't want you, Dada, you know what I'm saying, coming at the people that we in cahoots with, GG. That's what we don't want, Dada. But at the end of the day, Dada, it's like, they want their spot to be holy. They don't want, not that they don't want certain people there. I don't know if they want certain people there, but they don't want people that are coming to that with they what they, you know what I'm saying, with their mindset, with a different type of mindset. The different type of mindset that is raging war. You heard, war for oil. That oil that comes out of their land, regardless of the fact that you know what I'm saying. They would have been. Osama trying to say that we would have found that oil regardless.
Saudi Arabia has a next-door neighbor named Iraq who was run by Saddam Hussein, who Osama sees as a really bad mushing in on the oil boom. He's building big palaces and statues of himself all over the country. Oh yeah, and he also used the oil money to build a giant army, like the fourth biggest in the world. With this massive army, Saddam decided that he could maybe multiply his oil reserves if he popped down to invade this little tiny country of Kuwait, where there's also loads of oil. This sort of freaked the Saudis out. If Saddam, with his giant army, could grab Kuwait, what would stop him from marching right across this desert into Saudi Arabia? So there's this moment that it's like the moment of infamy of this whole thing, where Osama goes to the Saudis and he says,
I volunteer as tribute.
He doesn't actually say I volunteer in tribute. That was Hunger Games.
I believe.
That's crazy. Osama bin Laden, the father, right? So just so you could know, right? He was the architect, that Americans picked, right? So they can make certain buildings or whatever the case may be while they was over there, whatever the case may be. So everybody's in cahoots getting richer in Saudi Arabia, Osama, comes to it. I mean, he's from Israel. So he goes to the people of Israel, the top people, and like, yo, I could protect you. They're like, how you gonna protect us, He's like, well, with the army you got, these people got way more people than you, oh, we'll fight back, They're like, what, He's like, we could pray, I could pray and stuff like that. So Osama bin Laden had faith, but they didn't want no faith, Gigi.
We have a volunteer.
But he effectively says, I have me and my battle-hardened men who can go in and fight against Saddam and defend the kingdom. And the Saudis are like, no, we're not gonna let this ragtag group of rebel fighters fight off the fourth largest army in the world. And Osama's like, well, we beat the Soviets. They're a big army with nuclear weapons and everything. And the Saudis are like, yeah, because you hid in the hills in caves in Afghanistan. Prince Sultan literally told bin Laden verbatim, quote, there are no caves in Kuwait. And then he asks them, what will you do when he lobs the missiles at you with chemical and biological weapons? Osama's response, we will fight them with our faith. And the Saudis are like, awkward? Sorry, dude,
Local tax experts.
Yeah, that's crazy, even the people, who pray the most, who's over there, who's actually from the holy land, they're like, we can't fight with faith, bro. When they launch the missiles, faith ain't gonna help you, clear the air. It's not. Dang, But there's faith, I'm telling you, there's faith.
The king met with somebody else that he thought would make a much better fit than bin Laden and his faith fighters.
So they was looking at Osama bin Laden like me, you know what I'm saying? They said we about to go to war, They said we was about to go to war, I come with my million-man march, you know what I'm saying? My knowledge, you heard? Your mind is your nine, so I came to speak, you heard? I came to speak, and I came with my practice sword, you know what I'm saying? That's how they thought Osama bin Laden was coming. Yo, you're not ready for no war, look at it, what you doing, you're not ready for no war. But I came like this, I came ready, right? Million Man March, you heard? All right, with the King X, don't forget the Kennedy, Yeah, I came prepared.
Dick Cheney had flown to Saudi Arabia the day after Saddam had invaded Kuwait. At this point, the bromance between the US and Saudi Arabia had little bit, as Saudi had gotten more and more flack for being in bed with the US. But even despite this, he told Cheney to come with as much force and as quickly as he could. And that is exactly what Dick Cheney did.
Ready and willing to employ all means necessary.
The US went insane here. They recruited 37 other countries, and then they sent more firepower in terms of
37 other countries, yo. Dude, the U.S. ain't playing, They just, yo, come on, you come with us, we gonna give you tanks, we gonna give you, we got you, we got it all.
Of ships and bombers and troops and all this stuff than you and I could ever imagine. It was insanity. And they totally crushed Saddam. Within a few weeks, they had pushed Saddam back and completely won over the hearts of the royals. The bromance is back in business. So now you have these Saudis that are beaming at the Americans for helping them fight off Saddam. And you have a bunch of bases that the US set up to mount this attack. Way more than before. The US came with all of this firepower and manpower and bases and artillery, and then they just sort of never left. Something that really pissed off a lot of Saudis who were very uncomfortable with US presence to begin with. But the guy who was most pissed off than anyone in
And
the
that
Middle
was
East
the
at this
littlest
point.
war right there. Osama bin Laden probably could have handled that little war right there. Could have handled that little war. GG. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was a little portion. That wasn't so big of a war, but that little war, that got you in cahoots, with the Americans. Now you breaking bread with them, guess what, they not about to leave, GG. They not about to leave, What's poppin', Smitty, Look.
Osama bin Laden, who had not only been rejected by his own country, but then who got chosen instead? But the great Satan, the United States, a power that Osama had built his entire life fighting against. So Osama bin Laden starts to double down on his original mission. He leaves Saudi Arabia and begins coordinating very precise attacks that could really only be coordinated by a guy who was good at technical details of a construction company and who had lots of money to fund it. He carries out attacks against the United States all around the world. And by the late 90s, he starts planning the attack that would change our world forever.
Salute, y'all pull up, We talk about the war. Y'all come give me your opinion about the war, GG. What y'all feeling, We started from the beginning, So we started from the
Whether
beginning.
you're a professional or
like what is really going on there with Iran? Why would America want to jump in it, So, you know what I'm saying? So far we in Saudi Arabia, and we helping them for the cause, Now we helping them because they let us drill for oil, and we found oil, there, Now that we was getting rich, so we're like, yo, let's protect the oil, Let's just get a little military base here, and that's what happened, And from there, America's about to play a wild, heavy chess game, but they ain't about to let go, So they're gonna put chemical bombs in certain people's hands, and then they're gonna blame them for using it.
So this is just the first half of the story. What happens next is something that we're all kind of familiar with. In fact, I think we're all still kind of processing the US presence in the Middle East today and how that all went down. But it deserves taking a look at, and I'm not going to do that right now. I want to make a separate video for Iraq and Afghanistan and Israel and Iran and dive into each of these cases to show how the US presence in the Middle East is not just about oil. In fact, oil is becoming less and less of a vital aspect of the US presence as we have alternative sources of this sort of energy. Instead, our presence in the Middle East has become a fixture of how we think about foreign policy and how we think about the map. It's become so embedded in our military doctrine and in our foreign policy doctrine that it's proving to be really hard to think about how we could ever get out.
One of the most important wars of the last 50 years is one that we don't hear about much. When, in 1980, two of the Middle East's most powerful countries, Iran and Iraq, waged 8 years of some of the worst trench and chemical warfare since World War I, leaving both countries devastated. This is the war that
This war right here, is the war that fucks up Saddam Hussein, Because Saddam Hussein, he just, you know what I'm saying? He had he was getting big, so, you know what I'm saying? He was a dictator of his country, you know what I'm saying? So while he's a dictator of Iran,
fractured the Middle East into lines that still play out in nearly every conflict there today. It set the US and Iraq on a path that ultimately led to the American invasion, and it defined Iran's often hostile relationship with the wider world. This is the Iran-Iraq War. It's 1979, and Iran is in the middle of a revolution. The country is coming off of decades of being ruled by the Shah, a king that the US and UK had installed in the 50s after covertly overthrowing Iran's democratically elected leader. But after years of the Shah's corrupt autocratic rule, a mass uprising violently overthrows him, creating what becomes an Islamic republic, headed by an Ayatollah named Ruhollah Khomeini. Khomeini and a group of Shia religious scholars want to impose fundamentalist rule on the country and are hostile to both the Western powers and the neighboring Soviet Union. They established a military force called the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, which is meant to protect their hold on the revolution and to suppress the other groups who helped overthrow the Shah. The US is watching all of this in shock. Their biggest ally in the region and a major oil producer has just turned from friend to fierce enemy. But the biggest tremors of this revolution are felt in the rest of the Middle East. Iran sends out radio broadcasts to Arab countries like Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Kuwait, and Iraq, calling for people to rise up and overthrow their own rulers. They're trying to export their revolution to their neighbors, to gain new allies in the region. Neighboring leaders, most of them Sunni Muslim, don't like this. Saudi Arabia's king fears being overthrown, just like the Shah was. And in Iraq, Saddam Hussein sees this Shia religious revolution on his eastern border and worries that the Shia majority that he rules over will rise up against him too. But he also sees this as an opportunity. Iran and Iraq have been fighting over this border territory for years. This waterway is a critical access point to the Persian Gulf, where both countries export their oil to the rest of the world. In a treaty between the two back in 1975, Saddam had to give up full control of this waterway, as well as access to oil-rich regions in what was now Iran. Saddam hates this treaty and is considering taking the waterway back by force. The Iranian Revolution has left the country weak and fractured. Khomeini and his Revolutionary Guard are still fighting other political factions for control. The Iranian military, which used to be funded and trained by the United States, is now weak, its leaders having been jailed or executed after the revolution. Iran's military would normally be able to crush Iraq in an invasion, but maybe not anymore. Saddam sees this as an opportunity to weaken a major rival. Saddam is also riding on a delusion that he himself is going to unify the Arab world under his leadership. If he invades Iran, maybe the rest of the Middle East will rally behind him against this new common enemy. He thinks it'll be a quick victory. So in September of 1980, he decides to prepare 10,000 Iraqi troops to cross the border to invade Iran. What's about to happen here isn't just the start of a new war. Saddam is kicking off a dynamic that will dominate the Middle East for more than 40 years. The fight between revolutionary change and status quo power. The war officially starts when Saddam sends his air force over the border in a surprise attack on Iranian air bases. His 10,000 soldiers cross from Basra into southern Iran. Further north, Saddam opens a second front to seize strategically.
You gotta understand the war in the Middle East, you gotta understand the whole war in the Middle East, so you get a nice outlook of what's happening now, Once you understand what happened before the and what's going on before the with the Iran, Iraq, and what everything, then you're gonna get a good picture of what Americans is doing there, what the fuck America was doing there, which instigated standing on business, trying to overthrow everybody, I can't fly. America's a nuisance to the Middle East. I ain't trying to fraud and Donald Trump, no one's mad about what Donald Trump is doing, but they, you gonna raise the gas prices in America, like, you gotta slow down, whatever you like. If you gonna affect us, bro, like, how come you rich, so you don't give a fuck, you rich, nigga, you got the best medical, you got the best things going on with you, but what about everybody in America? Everybody gotta pay extra money for their medical, everybody gotta pay extra money for their medicine, everybody gotta pay extra money for their gas. We're about to have to start paying extra for eggs. Like, eggs? America don't even make their own eggs. Are we making our own eggs, Like, America, like,
located border towns and put pressure on his enemy. These air attacks mostly fail, and Iran responds with airstrikes of their own into Iraqi territory, hitting oil facilities. Iran still has sophisticated jets that the United States had given the previous regime. This gives them an edge in the air.
victory on the ice
Should be a civil war, bro.
calls for an ice cold.
Should be a fucking civil war, Dada. Shit hit different.
Quickly sucks in the rest of the region. Israel is among the first. It wants to keep these two adversaries occupied, fighting with each other, keeping both sides weak. So almost immediately, Israel secretly sells supplies and parts to Iran. This helps the Iranian Air Force keep planes in the air. Now, Iran and Israel are not friends, but Israel sees Iraq as a greater threat here, so they're willing to support.
Look at how big is Iran, Dada. Look at Iraq's right there, Dada. Iraq's right there, Dada. Iran's right there, Dada. Look how big Iran is, Dada. And Israel's right here, Dada. So Israel, they don't care. They're gonna be start selling supplies over here, Dada. And Israel mess with the Americans. You gotta understand, Israel mess with the Americans, Dada. But America, Dada, just like how Israel's doing it, this is a play, Dada. So this is a war play. So look at Israel's doing the same shit. Like, oh fuck it, let's help them win the war. Like, what? You about to help them win the war, Dada? This is different, GG.
To get its military organized if they're going to fight this war. So they release military officers that they had jailed during the revolution. War tends to unify a nation. And in this case, the fractured country of Iran is unifying around Iraq's invasion, creating this irony that Saddam is the one who...
Israel didn't want Saddam there, Dada. They should have just attacked right there. They should have just came into that side, Dada. But come on, Israel don't want that. Don't want to have a whole war going. They warring with each other, Dada. So guess what America does, Dada? America don't going to start selling them illegal weapons. So America jumps in this, Dada, start selling them illegal weapons. They gonna start using the illegal weapons, Dada. And that's why America be like, oh yeah, we could join. Look at they using illegal weapons, Dada. So we gonna have to go join the Dada and go attack and look for weapons or whatever the case may be, and look for bombs. And they never found bombs. They never find weapons or nothing. America's what, yo, they different, Dada. You gotta watch it.
Actually cements Khomeini's hold on power. Saudi Arabia and Kuwait also step in here, giving billions of dollars to fund Iraq's war efforts. They want to weaken Iran and turn back its revolution. The Middle East is now dividing between, on one side, Arab states who are ruled by aging Sunni monarchies and strongmen who fear change, and on the other side, a Shia Iran, bent on revolution, on remaking the region in its image. China is also watching this war. They say they will maintain strict neutrality, but they take the opportunity to sell weapons to both sides of the conflict. They eventually become Iran's top supplier of weapons. For most of 1981, the two armies are in a stalemate, with Iraq holding small but important stretches of border territory. The global powers see this stalemate and try to negotiate a ceasefire, hoping that this conflict that threatens so much of the global oil supply will end soon. What they don't know is that this is really just the beginning. Saddam agrees to the ceasefire, but Khomeini does not. This war has become so useful to his goals, unifying the country and keeping the military occupied so that it doesn't become a rival to his power. Khomeini needs the war to continue. So Iran demands that Saddam Hussein step down. They say the war will continue until his rule is ended. Saddam, of course, refuses. So Iran goes on the offensive. Their forces are now organized. Their officers have been freed from jail, and they're able to recapture the territory that Saddam had taken, even pushing into Iraq. Saddam's hopes of a quick victory and a gain of some valuable territory are now dead. So he turns to the United States for support, and the US agrees to help. They hope to weaken Iran and its call for anti-American Islamic revolution across the region. So the US starts giving Saddam intelligence and satellite imagery on Iranian troop movement. Iraq also gets another big backer, the Soviet Union. The Soviets are at war in neighboring Afghanistan, trying to suppress another religious uprising. But they also have allies in this region. So over the course of the war, the Soviets become a top supplier of weapons to Iraq.
There is an investigation in how these apps keep people betting.
That's crazy, Dada. So America started helping Iraq first, Dada. Saddam Hussein first, Dada. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to start helping Saddam Hussein first, Dada. So when they start helping Saddam, Dada, guess what they're going to do? they gonna start fucking helping they're gonna start helping Iran too. So they're gonna give weapons. They're gonna start giving weapons to Saddam Hussein, so when they start giving weapons to Saddam Hussein, he starts bombing them, with chemical bombs, that causes like 50,000 to 100,000 deaths, and it was a trick. Now that Saddam Hussein, is bombing them with the American weapons, guess what happens, It's crazy, bro. And you want to know, and you think about it, why don't people that come and try to blow up America or whatever the case may be? Because anybody who tries to come and blow up America, their country will be wiped out immediately. Like a submarine could wipe out a whole country. One submarine that America got could wipe out a whole country. So even if you was to like get the job, your country and anything that got going on, will be wiped out completely. So it's like, oh snap. It's crazy. Crazy work.
One of the many war crimes committed by Saddam Hussein. The US knows this is happening, and yet, according to now public documents, the official government line was to turn a blind eye, to blame everything on Iran. Saddam's horrific war crimes project a new fear onto the civilians in Iran, who now worry that a missile loaded with deadly gas could land on their cities. Many flee to take shelter in the mountains. And by now, after 8 years of devastating war, Iran's economy and social order is frayed. Their leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, is feeling the pressure to end this war. More than 1 million lives have been lost in this war. All sides are looking for a way out, and the UN Security Council is pressuring the parties to accept a ceasefire. Then, in July of 1988, a US ship in the Persian Gulf shoots down an Iranian passenger jet, killing all 290 civilians on board. The US shakes it off as an unfortunate accident, saying that they mistook the airliner for a hostile F-16 fighter jet.
What the hell, They blew up an Iranian regular passenger jet, passenger plane, with 200 something people on it, just took it out the sky, So they was on Iraq side at first, the US, They was going brutal too, Look at what y'all, matter of fact, we gotta stay quiet and things like this. This is different right here,
They pay compensation to the victims' families, and President Reagan sends a letter apologizing. But the government never formally apologizes. And the captain of the ship who did this later received a medal, which fed a deep suspicion in Iran that this attack was deliberate, that it was a scheme to coerce them into accepting peace. Fear of more American attacks, along with a new offensive by Iraq, pushes the Iranian forces to withdraw from the country, and both sides finally accept a ceasefire. The war is finally over, and after all of this, the borders were unchanged from before the fighting. But in some ways, this was really just the first round in a larger conflict that has continued through to today, a war for the future of the Middle East, one that the United States is deeply involved in, but that most expresses itself as a Cold War between Saudi Arabia and Iran, who now fuel civil wars around the region in Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen, backing their own proxy fighters and making these conflicts worse. But another major takeaway here is that this war defined Iran's relationship to the rest of the world, especially the United States. Iranian hardliners came to feel confirmed in their belief that they could never trust an outside world bent on Iran's destruction and seemingly unconstrained in their violence, leading some leaders to conclude that only nuclear weapons could...
You see, that shit hit different, So, boom, America was helping Saddam Hussein, right? Iraq, So while America's helping Iraq, guess what happens, They start helping Iran, So Iran's getting helped by them too, But once they hit they blew up the passenger plane. Now Iran, the data, is feeling like, yo, I can't trust nobody, never. They would never trust nobody ever again, the data.
Stave off disaster from the outside. Saddam Hussein's Iraq emerged battered by this war, humiliated by this failure against Iran. He faced growing internal resistance from his people, which he suppressed with more and more violence. He also came out of this with huge war debts to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Angry that his allies had billed him to fight a war on their behalf, a few years later, Saddam invades Kuwait, seeking its oil, taking the spoils that he felt he was owed. And this is when his one-time backer, the United States, quickly turns against him, expelling him from Kuwait and beating him back in a swift 43-day victory, cutting him off from the world economy and turning him into a pariah, an enemy. A decade after Saddam had gassed his own people, the U.S.
So boom, the data, right? Like Saddam, they trying to say Saddam gassed his own people, but America sold him the weapons, right? The data, they told him to sell the weapons, but then he got his head over him. He's like, we got America now, the data, so America's gonna stay out of this situation with Kuwait. But America was like, nah, the data, Kuwait, the data, you can't take Kuwait, the data, because we in it with Israel. Israel been on our side, the data, so either you gonna mess with us, the data, you're not, the data. So that they backed up away from Saddam, the data, and now they're gonna blame. Now they already know mad stuff about the war that he was doing, the data, because they helped them do it, and they was looking to turn a side eye. They're not turning the side eye no more. Like, oh yeah, he was doing this, he was doing that, the data, and they start blaming Saddam, the data, for all the things that they help him do. That's crazy.
Finally blamed him for it, turning it into a byword for his cruelty and the centerpiece for their demand that he step down. A few years later, George W. Bush would cite these weapons of mass destructions, the ones that he would never find, as a reason to invade the country, to topple Saddam. Bush's war room was filled with the same officials who had covered for Saddam and his war crimes in the first place, and making it so crystal clear that even though this war between Iran and Iraq ended decades ago, the Middle East we see today is built off of what happened during those 8 brutal years.
Before we go into the next video, I just want to remind you that this is all made possible.
Now Bush is about to invade the data. Now Bush is invaded, but remember the data. Remember the data. The architect for America, the data, was Bush's father. The data was Bush's father. The data. So the architect was Muhammad, which was Bush's father. I mean, Saddam Hussein's father. The data. So it's like it's a big hoops, yo. This is a big hoops. This is why you see people with pictures together and all this, because there's a big hoops together. The data. This gets like, yo, war is different, bro. War is different.
In the summer of 2002, the director of the British intelligence agency MI6, Richard Dearlove, traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with the director of the CIA, George Tenet. The topic of the meeting was Iraq and its leader, Saddam Hussein. In the meeting, the CIA director shared classified information with his British counterpart, who then traveled back to London to 10 Downing Street, the home of the Prime Minister, Tony Blair. Dearlove told his Prime Minister everything about what was really happening behind the scenes in the United States. How the US was planning to invade Iraq no matter what. It was a highly classified meeting, but notes were taken and classified and put into a memo. That memo was later leaked to British author and journalist Michael Smith, who published it in 2005. And that's what we're looking at. A secret meeting, and the memo it produced, meant only for the eyes of top British officials. It was an explosive leak. What we see is that Dearlove tells his prime minister everything he heard in Washington a few days earlier, and that this was a very different story than the one the Bush administration was telling to the public. That an American invasion was inevitable, that Bush's people were fixated on removing Saddam Hussein from power, no matter what, and that the US government was blatantly cooking up intel and facts to help sell their invasion. This document shows us how power really works in our world. How a small group of people decided to topple a dictator.
That is crazy, GG. So boom, the data. They sell Saddam weapons. While they selling Saddam Hussein weapons, the data, they know they tell him where the other military bases at so he could bomb them, the data. So they helping him bomb or whatever the case may be. When they're helping him bomb or whatever the case may be, they get all the intel what he's doing, the data. They come back to America, the data, and be like, yo, this is what he's been doing. Yo, so they put in a package together, the data, right? They put in a package together to get him, I guess, get him overthrown, or so they could invade, or they could start a war with him.
To occupy a country, and then invented a story to support their plan. It was a false story, but it helped them sell a horrifying war. It's a story that is revealed in detail by the Downing Street memo.
States like these constitute an access to evil.
One last chance to avoid war. The entire world must know to take whatever action is necessary.
On September the 11th, enemies of freedom committed an act of war against our country.
The United States military has begun strikes against al-Qaeda terrorist training camps in Afghanistan.
Let's start by looking at another document from the fall of 2001, when Deputy Secretary of Defense Paul Wolfowitz created this memo for his boss, Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense. This was just 10 weeks after the attacks that changed the course of history. But this document wasn't about that. It was about Iraq, a country that had nothing to do with 9/11. Rumsfeld reviewed the document before meeting with an army general. He marked it up with his notes, giving us insight into what the Secretary of Defense of the United States was really thinking about after 9/11. How this group of military leaders were set on, quote, building momentum to topple Iraq's dictator Saddam Hussein, to decapitate the government, a government that was no longer useful to them. Saddam Hussein had been a useful client to the United States, especially in the 80s when he was waging a war against Iran, an enemy of the United States. But those days were now over. Saddam had turned into just a troublemaker in the region, creating instability that could threaten the US's easy access to oil.
2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait. This conflict...
Damn, that is crazy, So they was messing with Saddam, right? So Saddam, he tried to get Kuwait, but he already tried to get Kuwait before So he tried to get Kuwait again, They're not messing with Saddam. They're not messing with, America's not messing with Saddam, So they're going to say, yo, in the future, he might just risk the oil thing, whatever the case may be. So we're gonna have to take him out. Take him out. Damn, you can't negotiate with the nigga first. Like you about to run into the whole thing just for a route of oil, GG. But man, I can't say it's war. That's what they doing. Israel's doing it with Iran. Iran's doing it with Iraq. Iraq's doing it with Israel. Like what can we do? Like that's what they doing. You know what I'm saying?
Started August 2nd when the dictator of Iraq invaded a small and helpless neighbor.
And in many ways, Iraq was an old mess in need of cleaning up, a mess that Bush Sr. had failed to resolve during the first Gulf War. Iraq was supposed to disarm itself after that war, but had kicked out the UN weapons inspector teams.
Hand off your taxes to an expert in your neighborhood.
War, you gotta watch war, America gave them the weapons, now they're about to invade Iraq for the weapons they sold them. Yo, we show you the weapons, you can't have them, we show you how to make them.
And why right after 9/11, these guys were talking about invading Iraq. A bigger reason is that these leaders wanted to remind the world who the global superpower was. They needed to, after being brutally attacked on their own soil. A non-US friendly regime like Iraq couldn't be allowed to stand in a post-9/11 world. Or, in the words of Rumsfeld himself, hours after the towers fell, quote, we need to bomb something else to show that we're big and strong and not going to be pushed around. Iraq and its leader was that something else. And now Bush and his advisors were looking at a plan to make it a reality.
Damn, that's crazy, Osama bin Laden, is over here, doing his one too, Saddam, he just got in the middle of it and said, yo, we gonna take him out for even playing with us. He did the smallest act of disloyalty to us, towards us, we gonna take him out, because we mad, That's like, damn, America acting like Rich from Paid in Full, You know what I'm saying? You know what Rich, when Rich brother got kidnapped, he said, yo, anybody look at me wrong, anybody, I'm taking everybody out, So 9/11 happened, you know what I'm saying? I repeat the thing, but they said, yo, we gotta grab someone, we gonna do it to someone else, it doesn't matter, we pointing the finger, it's him, Damn, the daughter, Rich Porter, the daughter. Americans acting like Rich Porter, the daughter. Like, they didn't heal. Anybody owe me money? Anybody look at me wrong? Anybody not even? Yo, it was a rap, the daughter. It's a rap. You can put a belt to ass. America put a belt to ass. Just damn, but that was a crazy, crazy situation. But you got to think about it. You're in bed with Muhammad, right? Osama bin Laden's father. These people is architect people. It's not like what that got to do with Saddam. But you said you ain't lying on that.
But how to start the war? Could they tie Saddam Hussein?
They said how to start the war. Like, we gonna start this, like, how to start it. We gonna have to walk by him, bump him. Yo, what you bump me for? What? Americans about to bully themselves into a war, bro. How to start the war? What the fuck, Can you, yo, America, before you start the war, can you just elaborate with us real quick? I'm saying, elaborate with us. Let us know what's gonna, like, you about to start the war, like, GG,
into something that Americans feared, like 9/11 or anthrax? Or could they tell a story about weapons of mass destruction? What other countries could they bring in to support their invasion? And of course, the most important consideration, Rumsfeld jots it here at the end, they would need an influence campaign. They would need to sell the war. And when should they begin? How about right away?
Iraq continues to flaunt its hostility toward America and to support terror.
3 months later, the president was telling the world that Iraq was one of a group of evil countries that the U.S. must oppose in the global fight against good and evil.
States like these constitute an axis of evil. The price of indifference would be catastrophic.
By the summer of 2002, this idea that Bush's advisors had scratched down after 9/11 was developing into an official policy. That handwritten influence campaign to sell the war was now in full swing.
There is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
The Iraqi regime has been free to pursue the development of weapons of mass destruction.
We know.
Yo, this is what they doing to Dirk, This is what they did to Dirk, Now we know, this is what they did to Dirk, Like, what the fuck, nigga? They said, we know he got weapons of mass destruction. They already raided. They already raided Iraq, They didn't find nothing. But they seen that something about missiles missing, or they had to take a while, to get the story, Damn, this is crazy. And they over there. We know for sure, but hey, it's war, right? They just start, but they say they starting the war, bro. This is.
Oh, they have weapons of mass destruction. There isn't any debate about it.
And this is exactly what the head of MI6 told Prime Minister Tony Blair at his house in the summer of 2002 after meeting with the CIA in Washington. It's what we see in the Downing Street memo, that there was a perceptible shift in attitude in Washington, and that the U.S. invasion of Iraq was now seen as inevitable, and that they were now fixing intelligence around a decision that they had already made, and that the U.S. wasn't really planning to work with the UN. They didn't want weapons inspections or getting UN approval for military force. And crucially, the head of the MI6 tells the prime minister that these Bush people aren't really thinking much about the aftermath of such an invasion.
What is inevitable is not rage. It is disarmament of weapons of mass destruction.
If your child was sexually exploited, abused, or pressured.
Know what I'm saying? Now we know what's going on. Remember the Israel and Iran. We're just gonna get to the Israel Iran war, but this all everything trickle down to everything that's going on. GG, that's crazy.
Seen by anyone but just a few. And that's why we can learn from it. It serves as one of the most potent pieces of evidence that the Bush administration was maneuvering two very different stories. Their private story about the need to remove a dictator to project US power, which was in stark contrast to the public story that they had to tell to sell the invasion. Their influence campaign.
Any country on the face of the earth with an active intelligence program knows that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
Because they knew that if they were really going to sell this war, they would need to convince not only the American public, but also Congress, and at least partially the international community. What we learn in the Downing Street memo is that they had settled on two main focus points for their story: that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, and that they're also working with the masterminds of 9/11. Not long after this meeting between MI6 and the CIA, Bush and his allies ramp up their influence campaign to sell their war.
We've learned that Iraq has trained al-Qaeda members in bomb making, poisons, and deadly gases.
The sales pitches to the American people for an invasion of Iraq were made with absolute certainty. Certainty that Iraq had WMDs.
He had agreed, and the UN had agreed, that he would not have a WMD program. We know he does have one.
That's crazy. The data. Like y'all telling me that y'all went through the whole Iraq, didn't find nothing, didn't get nothing, y'all over here, saying that, yo, this is nuts. We know for sure he has it. Where? I thought you search. I thought he let you search. I thought he agreed that you could search. You could keep searching, he said.
That they wanted to use them against Americans and American allies.
Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction, that he is amassing them to use against our friends, against our allies, and against us.
Certainty that Iraq was harboring terrorists.
And al-Qaeda terrorists escaped from Afghanistan and are known to be in Iraq.
And certainty that Iraq was working on obtaining nuclear weapons.
And Iraq's state-controlled media has reported numerous meetings between Saddam Hussein and his nuclear scientists, leaving little doubt about his continued appetite for these weapons.
And these speeches were working. By the fall of 2002, Americans were in favor of an invasion of Iraq by just a narrow majority. But there was just one problem, that all of these statements were lies. Indeed, this was already known in the secret rooms of Downing Street, that the US was fixing their facts and their intel to match their already made decision. Iraq's supposed links to al-Qaeda were based on one interrogation of a guy whose testimony lacked, quote, specific details, and who was intentionally lying about it to mislead his interrogators. Bush and his allies knew this. It was clearly documented back in February of 2002. And yet, publicly, the scary story about al-Qaeda being in Iraq continued to be sold by Bush and his people.
The Iraqi regime has plotted to develop anthrax, nerve gas, and nuclear weapons for over a decade.
The case for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq was equally thin, and senior officials knew it. Like in September 2002, when Donald Rumsfeld received this report from the Joint Chiefs assessing what real evidence there actually was for WMD in Iraq. The report is shockingly honest, and it says that the conclusion that Saddam has WMD, quote, relied heavily on analytic assumptions and judgments rather than hard evidence. That's word salad for it was speculation and conjecture. The report goes on to say that they didn't have anything solid on nuclear weapons related facilities, and concludes that they don't know of any facilities where Saddam may be producing or testing biological weapons. And so we know now that they had almost no evidence for their story about why the US should invade Iraq. And yet, even knowing this, they kept selling the same story, convincing the American people.
There's no doubt in my mind he wants to have a nuclear weapon, and he's got some capacity.
Wherever threats are forming against our country.
There's no doubt in my mind that he wants to have a nuclear weapon. I mean, I want to have a lot of. I want to have a lot of things. You heard the data. I want a UFO. You know what I'm saying? I want to see an alien. I want to travel to another planet. It's not going to happen. He said, ain't no doubt in my mind that he wants to have a nuclear weapon. Damn, he wants to have a nuclear weapon. I mean, he is the president of a country, the dictator of a country, I think. Do you have a nuclear weapon, Mr. George W. Bush? I mean, if you have one, I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
We will respond.
But they couldn't go on like this forever. They knew that if they were really going to sell this war, they were going to need to show real convincing evidence, not to the people, but to Congress.
Let's go, girl. There ain't no doubt in my mind that he wants to have a nuclear weapon in his hand. Like, what? Does he, yo, bro.
Another instance of fixing the intelligence to fit the policy. It came in September 2002 when President Bush asked Congress to give him the authority to invade Iraq. In response, Senate leaders requested an immediate national intelligence estimate, which is a report from the entire intelligence community meant to help Congress make informed decisions. This could be really bad for Bush and his allies. So he and the CIA get hard at work pulling together a report that fits their story, intelligence to back up all their public statements and speeches. They come out with this highly redacted report that they deliver in October of 2002. the report makes some very strong claims. They claim that Iraq has been building more WF.
No, it's crazy too, the data, right? Like America gives people tanks. Like when they come to cahoots with people, they be giving them tanks. They be giving them all these different gadgets, all these different. You know what I'm saying, they be hooking them up with weapons, selling weapons, doing all this shit. They get money off this, but when they go to war, we still got to pay with it. The gas prices still up, food going up, food prices go up. Like I don't know. I don't understand. I really don't.
That they have chemical and biological weapons, and that they will have a nuclear weapon during this decade. And to congressional leaders, this appeared rock solid. Here was the entire intelligence community coming together, saying that Iraq had horrific weapons and that they wanted to get more.
Saddam Hussein has composed a scarlet.
I might have to go on the front line, Dada. Give me a tank, Dada. Like, fuck it, Dada. Give me a tank. Give me some weapons, America, Dada. You know what I'm saying? I might have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we might have to just go over there for you, Dada. Like, y'all give me all these dudes tanks, Dada. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's hook up America, Dada. Give everybody Dada Tesla or some shit, Dada. Like, come on, man.
Chapter of terror. Our only responsible option is to confront this threat before Americans die.
There is no such thing as a Democrat or Republican war.
So in that same month, based on this report and all of these public speeches, Congress gives the green light for war. But this national intelligence estimate was deeply flawed. It was a perfect example of the fixed intelligence described in the Downing Street memo. It was put together in less than a month, totally rushed. The report had been plagued by groupthink and directed by political pressure, with the Bush administration pushing analysts to deliver a report that matched their conclusions that they had already come to months earlier. And they did this using very old intelligence. The CIA hadn't had any human assets on the ground for years, so their report wasn't even based off of anything after 1998. But it didn't matter. Bush and his allies had successfully sold the war to Congress and the American people. But there was one last hurdle. It was the international community, which would mean they would have to face the UN process that they apparently had no patience for.
Iraq has answered a decade of UN demands with a decade of defiance.
So it's November 2002, and in response to the rising tensions between Iraq and the US, the UN Security Council passes this resolution, 1441. It was a measure that was meant to give Iraq a final opportunity to comply with weapons inspections, to show the world that they had fully disarmed and had no weapons of mass destruction. Bush and his allies saw this as an opportunity. If they could somehow show that Iraq wasn't complying with this new inspection process, this resolution implied that they would be justified in invading the country. Their long-desired war would be on. But they had a problem, which is that Iraq and Saddam Hussein were complying with the weapons inspections. Over the course of 4 months, UN weapons inspectors searched Iraq from top to bottom. They were led by Hans Blix, the former head of the International Atomic Energy Agency. They conducted over 900 inspections at over 500 locations, and they didn't find anything. No WMD, no biological weapons, no nuclear weapons programs.
Iraq has on the whole cooperated rather well. Access has been provided to all sites we have wanted to inspect: universities, military bases, presidential sites, and private residences.
Hans Blix did find 2 things that were important. First, they did find some ballistic missiles that the UN says have an effective range that makes them illegal. So they
Damn, man, they took them to war for some ticket violations, Dada. Like your car goes too quick, the missile goes a little bit too far right now, the you can't have that, so you gotta fix that up, the What's goody, peace of love?
Yo, peace and love, 561. We in the building. You feel me with the little children, you know. What it do, Rock? Yeah, you down with you messing with the Iraq, with the Iran, with the Israelites, huh? What's going on, man?
Nah. Shout out to everybody in the world, I just, you know what I'm saying? I'm a reporter, so I gotta report what's getting reported on. I'm saying I'm not trying to get into the politics. You know, Donald Trump is our president. You know what I'm saying? So just how North Korea got their president, we got our president. So we got, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got, you know what I'm saying? It is the freedom of speech, but you got, you know what I'm saying? We gotta go with the winning team sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and you know it's about where you at. You just made a prime example. It's about where you at. Don't go against the grain. I don't give a damn what ratio. I don't give a damn what ratio ass is. Do not go against the grain where you at. It is repercussions and consequences.
And I ain't trying to, and I ain't coming out no president. So if Biden was the president right now, then we'll be saying the same shit about Biden. You heard? Like we ain't coming out there saying, but Donald Trump happened in reality, logically, Donald Trump is the president, so that's what it is right now. The Donald president time, the Donald you heard. So it is what it is. The Donald,
it is what it is. It is what it is.
and we get, you know what I'm saying, the war. This is the only thing about the war, the data that concerns me. The only thing about the war that concerns me, the data, is when we come outside the data and house mortgage going up, fucking rent. Gas prices going up. The data, you know what I'm saying? Supermarket prices going up. That's the only thing that concerns me, because it's like, if you got it under control, why is that shit going up? The data.
Telling you, dog, that gas. I said it once before in my live that we don't understand the real repercussions of this war, but we gonna feel it though. We are going, as Americans, going to feel it, because that's what happened when you go to war, man. They spend all this money at war, then we come get it all back from us. You see what I'm saying? They sent everything up skyrocket to pay for every single dime they paid for that war with, bro. We end up paying it back through increments, through 5 cents more, through 3 cents more, $1 more on prices of stuff. Like, people don't understand that. They go rob and kill people out of state, but then come back over here and tax their own people to pay for what they spent on going to war. So we kind of like trapped in the middle of a fucking game, bro. A ping pong game. We in a ping pong game right now.
No Diddy the data. You know, since you're if you're the high ranking the data, what the wife says, don't go outside the data and bring what you got going outside in this house. The data. What you doing? Just don't go out there and bring that shit in here. The data. You're going out there, the data, and then you're jumping in situations for somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we fucked up, man. Us as Americans is a gift and a curse to be American, bro. I said that on my live. It's a gift and a curse to be American, bro. I'm telling you, bro. For real, bro. People don't understand this shit, bro. This shit real over here in America, boy. As everybody know, we gotta pay. You got to pay to be an American, bro. Talking about freedom of speech, free country, and free this and free that. I don't know where the hell anything free at. The hell I'm talking about what motherfucking something free. Man, what the hell anything free out in America? Boy, you gotta pay for everything, boy. Everything, boy, you got to pay for. Boy, I'm talking about even what's yours. You say it's yours? Bullshit. How's yours and you gotta pay for it? The hell is yours?
None in America is yours, the data. You crazy.
You renting that shit. You renting that shit until you leave, and they pray to God everybody leaves so they can get their shit back and rent that shit to somebody else. I'm talking about your own property. Your own property could get took by the higher ranking people in America, man. Straight up and down. They'll take them shit, man.
It's not just us too. It's everybody, even the higher ups, even people, CEOs, the data. You know what I'm saying? If they don't got Rockefeller got a family, they got a family situation that they got the trickle down effect of that they borrow money, but when they borrow money, when they die, they got a life insurance that they pay back everything that they're in debt for, the data, so they pay back. But a lot of people that was rich back in the day, they lost everything, the data, just being in America. They passed away, the data, and generation after generation after generation, the data just, you know what I'm saying, kind of lost it.
Absolutely. It's a revolving door, bro. I'm so sorry. People be like, I got 100 million, I got 1 billion. Man, that ain't your goddamn money, man. That ain't your goddamn money, man. Them people lending you that money to have while you alive. Stop it, man. Stop it. Cause look, say this is right. You pass away and you leave somebody $1 billion. That next person ain't gonna handle $1 billion like you did. What they gonna do? They gonna get the shit away. Soon as you leave, they buying every motherfucking thing. Before the year out, they got 500 million. They ain't even $1 billion no more. Because only you that God bless with that money can handle that shit like that. But the next person, they gonna think about everything they never had. Oh, quick. You're gonna be $1 billion up, but when that person leave, you're gonna be $1 billion in the hole before a year or two out. The whole $1 billion that you had on top gonna turn into $2 billion in debt. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what money do. Money trick you into thinking you got enough money that you got a longevity of money when you don't. You ain't got no longevity of money, man, in America, man. That shit run out. That shit, you're gonna be 90 years old trying to go get some money, fucking with America. You're gonna be 90 years old trying to get some money back, fucking with America, boy. Cause they gonna take every dime you got. And send you back to work at 90. Go to work, get us some more money, make some more money so we can take it back from you. Come on. Go make 100,000 in 6 months. In 6 more months, you're gonna get that shit all back to us anyway, idiot. Come on now.
Yeah.
Gift and a curse.
We can't lose too many people, the data. You know what I'm saying? That's why we beat, they beat, you know what I'm saying? America can't lose too many people, the data. You heard? They really gonna need robots soon enough.
Absolutely, because they're not gonna put nobody else in position that fuck the world up. If you ain't here to fuck the world up, you ain't gonna get in that position. You gotta be willing to sacrifice your own mama, your cousins, your brothers. If you get in that position, you gotta understand you got a part to play, bro. Or they won't put you in that position. You gotta be one slimy, cutthroat motherfucker to get control of America. Believe that, boy. If you're too nice, get your ass out of there. You ain't got thick skin, get your ass out of there. Yeah, we need rooftop skin.
But there's people that go like that there's Democrats and there's Republicans, you know what I'm saying?
That shit don't matter, man. That's just a name for a group, bro. That shit don't matter. Everybody do the same thing, bro. Let me tell you something. Now just imagine this. That the people that they call bad, the Democrat or the Republican, what if the roles switch? What if everybody go to looking at the good people and start saying what you doing good is fucking us up? That's what I'm telling you. You can get up every day and think you're doing everything right in the world, bro. But then guess what? If it's making shit too right, people hate that shit, bro. You will become the public enemy number one trying to fix everything right. And in this world, it ain't nothing perfect. So the people that are over there fucking shit up, you're gonna eventually be one of them in a minute. You're gonna be one of them because you try to make shit too right in a fucked up world, bro. Come on, man. All right. Play this shit. This a game, bro. A game of life. We all got 100 years. We all got 100 years to play in this game. Play your game the right way, bro.
But at the end of the day, we gonna say this, right? It's a fair game because everybody's doing it. So we can't get mad at America, you know what I'm saying, doing they would have won too because Israel's doing it, the civil unit. If they don't do it, other people's going to do it. And then they're going to have to go against more people, more countries, so they're going to have to, you know what I'm saying, keep everything modest and shit like that so they can have a little control of what's going on, because Israel's beefing with, they can't lose Israel, so Israel's beefing with Iran, you know what I'm saying? But Iran fucks with the Soviet Union or whatever the case may be, maybe so like if they mess with them, they gonna have to push them back or whatever the case may be. That's what I'm guessing. Like everybody's doing the same thing in a way, but America sometimes stick their nose in business. They stick their nose in certain situations because they can do it. So like, we gonna referee this shit. You know what I'm saying? So while they refereeing and shit, I'm just saying. We don't care about you refereeing it. We come outside and the gas prices is coming up. You're bringing outside. We were like, what you doing over there? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, how you force yourself in something and then we get the consequences of you forcing yourself. So it's like we all together. So like this shit is weird. But like, bro, bitch go out there and slap you in your face. They slap all us in the face.
Give everybody electric Tesla or some shit. You heard? We be all together just fine. You heard?
Imagine that. Listen, the only benefit we got to do with America is riding or die with this motherfucker. Ain't no benefit. The hell you talking about? Our only obligation is to ride or die, right or wrong, with this motherfucker, man.
You know, medicine skyrocketed, they say. I be seeing mad people complaining about, the medicine's up, I gotta pay this, they gotta pay that. I'm like, yo, damn, I be feeling mad.
They gonna tell you straight up and down. Go to a different country, bro. If you don't like America, go somewhere else. Straight point blank period. It's a deal or no deal. It's a deal or no deal, baby. What you gonna do? Take the deal or take the no deal? What you gonna
He's
do?
like, can we get a check or something, da da? They trying to get a little stipend, da da. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the like, at least live up to your name, da da. You heard? Other countries be feeling like America's like fucking heaven, da da. Live up to your name, da da. You heard? Make people want to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Everybody talking about that. We over here like what? Like, like, you know what I mean? Y'all talking about that, celebrating colorful balloons and that trophy. We over here like, bitch, where our first trophy at, bitch? Like, what y'all got going on over there? Like, yo, can I go sit over there and see what y'all see? Cause this shit, I'm blind like a motherfucker over here. I'm blind in a bit. The hell y'all see over there? Bitch, y'all gotta come in the paint. You gotta come in the paint. You can't be in the bleachers. Get your ass on the court. Yeah, you gotta get on the court when you come over here in America. For real.
And also the right? Didn't they take fucking like oil boats and lock up the president from Venezuela and keep the oil boats and shit like that, whatever the case may be? Like, why are we still paying? Like, ain't you staying in our business? They can break that shit down with us. You robbing oil tanks? Can the prices stay regular at least? You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't you muscling shit out there? Why are prices going up while you still muscling shit? That's what I gotta ask. You know what I'm saying? I got a question for Trump. I was like, yo, you manhandling this shit, you doing big dog shit, but why is prices going up and shit? That's why I don't get like, what you doing,
They just took over. They just took Venezuela, so they ain't finished processing that oil to gas yet. It's coming though. Oh, it's coming. Trust me, it's coming.
We don't need to open no more rigs in the ocean. We don't need none of that. We need the animals. Leave the the marine animals alone. You know what I'm saying? Let them live. That's a Finian act.
Absolutely. You know
so let's get back into a little bit what was going on with the war, because we almost already at the end. So at first, this is what happened. So we can get a good explanation down the line, You know what I'm saying? America was never in the Middle East, right? So what happened was Israel, gave America, a little contract that they could go search for oil. So when Israel was searching for oil, while they were searching for oil, whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? They found it. While they found oil, they struck They was getting rich. Israel was getting rich. While Israel's getting rich or whatnot the case may be, fucking America's like, yo, let's protect the oil. You know what I'm saying? Can we put a military base here, Israel agrees, So it's Iraq and Iran over there, It's a bunch of different other countries too, or whatever the case may be, or whatever, but this is you know what I'm saying? So Saddam Hussein, he's beefing with Iran, right? So America starts helping Saddam Hussein, so they give him weapons or whatever the case may be, or teach him how to make whatever these weapons and stuff like that, and tell him where these people is in Iran, and they bomb them. So when they bomb him, whatever the case may be, Saddam is thinking like, yo, you know what? Let me take a little portion of Israel, whatever the case may be, where it's called Moscow. It's not Israel, but it's Moscow, whatever, or something over there. So when they was trying to take it, America said, hell no. America jumped in the beef over there and backed them down, and then bounced Now they blame all the situation that they helped him do. Saddam Hussein, they helped them, coordinate all this shit, Now they blaming him like, oh yeah, he wants to have a weapon of mass destruction. He's a bad dude, he did this, he did that, because they know everything he did, It's like a cop, selling you drugs, they ain't fuck with you no more. He's like, nigga, this nigga sell drugs, this nigga did this, you know what I'm saying? You fucked, you know what I'm saying? You done in. So they come to America, and now Israel or whatever the case, America, they come to America, now they're about to take over Iraq. So they go take over Iraq, they overthrow Iraq, you know what I'm saying? Saddam Hussein, because Osama bin Laden. So I skipped something. While Israel and America in cahoots and shit like that, Osama bin Laden's father, Mohammed, America hires him to be the contractor of the buildings and shit like that. So they good builders. I mean, they contract, you know what I'm saying? They contract building the construction workers or whatever the case may be. Whatever. So they hired them, so they wealthy or whatever case may be. So Osama bin Laden, that's how Osama bin Laden got in the picture. Osama bin Laden did this thing to the Twin Towers, boom. So now America's like, yo, you know what? Since he did that, since Osama did that, we gonna take off. So we gonna look for Osama, and we also gonna fucking try to take out Saddam Hussein, because he try to mess with us regardless of the fact. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not loyal. So let's just fucking take him out, and then that's what happens here. They mad right now.
Damn, boy. Sound like we robbers, man. We some fucking man, we ruthless, man. Then we play a game too. This shit real, bro. We play a manipulation game. We know your dirt, right? But we hold your dirt in the inside. Soon you get out of line, bitch. All your dirt.
Think about it. Israel, if America didn't have Israel, if Israel didn't have America, they probably would have been invading Israel and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they would have and that's what's going on over there. It's happening over there.
Yes.
So it would have been happening regardless to the fact, probably.
Absolutely. It was a matter of time, bro. It's like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like they just keep it keeping the fire at a certain extent, but
absolutely, yeah. The fire is right there, right. They keeping the fire at a certain thing until they saying, fuck that shit. Throw some coals in that motherfucker. Spoosh. Right. They got the fire burning though. They don't fuck everywhere.
Yeah. They don't
everywhere.
They like the fire burning. They like everywhere. The fire burning. They insert themselves in situations to overthrow certain shit. You know what I'm saying?
Because we got that kind of power. That's what I was just saying. It's a gift and a curse, bro. It's a gift and a curse. We got that kind of power to take people's shit without being dead ass wrong, being nosy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can go butt in somebody's shit and be like, oh man, y'all ain't doing it right, man. Get y'all ass out the way. Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
That shit is crazy. That's some real power, boy. For real, boy.
Yeah.
Seriously. Dangerous, dog. But we over here. So what you rather be? Protected by that shit or the one that's going up against that shit? I don't know now at this point, cause it seems like we something serious, boy. I don't know what the hell going on, but we go.
Look, this what it is,
kill your president.
This what it is, I'm from America, so we gonna have to stand on America, like we standing on American business, but in the world of humanity, humanity's humanity, you gotta work a different step, So when you walk in you gotta be able to go anywhere in this world, and be a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, America ain't gonna help you for that. America ain't gonna be on the side of you, That's like the law, You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that the law's gonna save them, You know what I'm saying? Which they probably can, You know what I'm saying? In certain situations, But nigga, sometimes you call that law, and then that shit ain't gonna come, So you over there, you fucked up, You know what I'm saying? Like they're certain, like in Detroit, they said they take like 3 minutes, 4 minutes to come. They never come. Sometimes they said So imagine that.
Wow. Now that's crazy, bro. That's crazy, bro. Wow.
So like, it's like you gotta be if you're a person like I'm not trying to stay. I doubt if anybody's staying put, you know what I'm saying, stay put, right here, but that's what they trying to do, everybody stay put. That's why there's different. Every country got their own language. Every country got it's just distraction, They don't want everybody to understand shit, They don't. If the whole world understand each other, imagine that.
Somebody go overthrow it. Somebody, some greedy, overthrow it, bro.
But it just be understanding, and not they don't want understanding. They like confusion.
A person that's out preying on everybody, man, always try to go for the weak link, man. You cannot be weak in this world, bro. You feel me? Because it's somebody always trying to eat you up. Ain't never a time that somebody is sitting on the side not waiting to eat you up. If you weak, they coming to eat you up, bro. You see what happened with the cartel leader, El Chapo, all that. As soon as they go, what happened? They eat their whole crew up. They start killing everybody. They start killing all the workers, all of everything. Because that's when you weak. When you weak, they come in and eat you for a snack. You ain't got your power no more. Eat you alive. This shit crazy. It go like that in a whole bunch of situations in life, bro. For real. So that's a repetitive cycle on a bigger scale, though. You see what I'm saying? On the bigger scale
I'm
of
just
things.
saying
go ahead.
This shit just get. I bet. We gonna. I bet. So where we at right now? The data they trying to say that these people that Iraq the data got fucking weapons that go too far. You know what I'm saying? That goes a little too far, whatever the case may be.
Would need to be destroyed by Iraq. And second, there were some chemical weapons that the Iraqi regime said cannot be accounted for. But Blix insists that this does not mean that they have these weapons. It just means that they need more time to work out the accounting situation. But this error was exactly what the Bush circle needed to justify their invasion.
I call now on the distinguished Secretary of State of the United States of America.
They sent their most respected cabinet member to the UN, Secretary of State Colin Powell. He came equipped with photos of what he says are mobile weapons facilities.
Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
He plays tapes that he says prove that the Iraqis are hiding their weapons.
We evacuated everything to make sure it was not around when the inspectors showed up.
And then he says that this is solid evidence that shows that Iraq is violating the UN resolution that told them to disarm. This whole thing contradicts what the UN weapons inspectors had found in their hundreds and hundreds of inspections. They bulldoze the process and say they have justification to invade.
My colleagues, we have an obligation to see that our resolutions are complied with.
They've got the American public on board, they've got Congress on board, and now the UK is in lockstep.
This is the time for this House to show that we will stand up for what we know to be right, to show that we will confront the tyrannies and dictatorships and terrorists who put our way of life at risk.
The Bush administration abandons the UN process, and that March, his people do what they set out to do 18 months earlier, when they were looking for something else to bomb, to show who's really in charge on the world stage.
My fellow citizens, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger. America faces an enemy who has no regard for conventions of war or rules of morality.
That shit deep, boy.
Looking for tax help?
We had to start off from the beginning to understand this shit, GG.
That shit deep, dog. That shit they got so much intelligence to figure shit out, dog. And look what they figured out. Some shit that the average person in the neighborhood will never worry about. Will never worry about this kind of stuff, man. But this kind of stuff right here is what we need to worry about, because they trying to fucking kill our ass, man. Like trying to disintegrate our ass, like wipe us out completely, boy. For real. They work on that shit every day, every year.
This is like, I feel like this right here, the data is going on. It's like what happened to Africa probably back in the day, the data, because Africa had all the material, the data, all the good material, the data, all the good land, the data, all the kings and shit, diamonds and shit, the data. These niggas got the oil. Like oil, done data, like God put oil on their turf, done data, like, you know what I'm saying?
That's
liquid
crazy.
gold,
That's
and
crazy.
niggas is going to destroy that whole situation over there. No one's ever going to live over there, done data. Like, what the fuck is going on, done data? Y'all ruining people's homes and shit. For oil, some oil, done data, gotta come to some conclusions, done data. You know what I'm saying?
That oil real, dog.
I can't tell you it's for oil. I don't know what it's for, but damn, nigga, them niggas is like damn, they're going crazy. You see, I'm ready. You see, I got the sword on my back. I'm ready for war, bro. You know what I'm saying?
It's deep, dog. It's deeper than rap.
That's a fact.
Bush's war took the life of an estimated 500,000 Iraqis and thousands more who fought for their country. And over the course of a decade occupying Iraq, no weapons were found, no nuclear facilities, no mobile weapons labs. In fact, it seemed like Iraq had dismantled its nuclear program back in 1991 and the rest of its chemical and biological weapons just a few years later. After the invasion, the U.S. never allowed the UN inspectors back into the country to help with their search. The U.S. would never find a way to link the Iraqi regime to al-Qaeda or to anthrax. Colin Powell, the Secretary of State, who played a major role in selling this war to the international community, would later say that he regrets his part in starting the war.
Deeply regret that some of the information I presented, which was multi-source, was wrong.
Hans Blix, the chief weapons inspector for the UN, would comment later that year that it is sort of fascinating that you can have 100% certainty about weapons of mass destruction and zero certainty about where they are. We may never know what was in the heart and minds of these senior leaders, whether they truly believe.
Maybe they truly believe. What do you think, Dada? Maybe they truly believe that maybe they got scandal too. Maybe they truly believe that niggas actually had some shit over there. You went over there, you ain't find shit, Dada. That's crazy, Dada. What the fuck was the war about,
robbery, bro? It's nothing but a heist and a robbery always going on. Remember that, bro. You just can't get around it, dog. It's always some type of scheming and manipulation going on in the big world, bro. It's not a joke. Ain't nothing straightforward. Everything always twisted and crazy, dog. It's fucked up, bro. But
the 9/11 situation happened anyway, so they said they was gonna, you know what I'm saying? Anybody who looked at them wrong, anybody who ever even, you know what I'm saying? They was on people's heels. So he was just the one closest one to have beef with them or looked at him wrong or some shit, you know what I'm saying?
Own lies, whether they felt justified in the choices they made. But what we can learn from this story is how these leaders behaved when they thought no one was watching, when they thought they could tell a compelling story to the public while having a totally different set of motivations, and how with enough fear and enough deception, you can lead an entire society into an unprovoked war, changing the course of history in the process.
Why this country was so
Up in the Zagros Mountains have long lived a people called the Kurds. They're a people with the sense of the U.S. once again.
Are you 50-year-old?
Dada so
the Kurds for help.
The Kurds got
you gotta be. Hey, Rock, you gotta be careful with this shit. This shit here like breaking the motherfucking code to a motherfucking lock, man. You feel me? This shit like breaking the code to a coordination lock. Well, when you get into this kind of shit right here, man. This shit,
we
this
already
the best
actually
trusted news in the world right here, dog.
We already understand kind of the whole situation, Dada, and it's just like, and if you could put it in a different aspect, Dada, right? It's just like a gang situation, Chicago gangs, Dada. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm telling you.
Someone, so they always gonna have some type of animosity towards them. You know what I'm saying?
It's a different level of it. It's a higher level of it.
Yeah, so America thinks that they could do what they do and then come on some business tactic. Like, that's some crazy situation, right? You just fucking bomb the whole situation, blah, 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 blah. You gonna put someone else in place, nigga. You gonna try to act like people fuck with you? Nah, they ain't never gonna fuck with you. You fucked up their situation. You fucked up their cribs and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I promise you, bro. Guess what? In the end, they do submit and do business, bro. You put so much pressure on.
Deep down inside, a lot of people not really like they're not feeling it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to say. Like they like people submitting doesn't mean that they respecting the situations that niggas do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely not, brother. It's just how it go, bro. You go get with it or get rolled over. Which one you want? You see, we showed you we can roll over you. So now you got all the choice but to get with it, whether you like it or not.
Either you get down or you lay down. And when you lay down, you stay down.
Oh my God, you better. You what the fuck? What the fuck? You better stay down there. Boy, you got to lift your head up if you want to. They got a red dot. As soon as you lift your head up, they got the red dot right there. Oh shit, damn, the beam's still out. Fuck. Damn right. The beam's still out on your ass.
That's a finna, you know,
hoping that they will fight against ISIS on the ground for them. But because this group is allied with the PKK, which they consider a terrorist group, the U.S. asks this militia to rebrand themselves to the Syrian Democratic Forces, which obscures their connection to the PKK. The U.S. then trains, funds, and arms them to fight ISIS. The Kurds are once again the U.S.'s weapon. This plan works, and with help from US airstrikes, this Kurdish militia kicks ISIS out of more and more land. But Turkey hates this. All they see is a potential Kurdish state right on their southern border, a safe haven for the PKK that will allow more attacks against the Turkish military. But Turkey can't attack this branch of the Kurds while they're being supported by the United States. Lucky for them, there's a new president in the White House, and he's promised to pull the US out of the war in Syria. And in 2019, to the dismay of the Kurds, he makes good on this promise. With the US out of the way, Turkey invades, launching airstrikes and artillery against the Kurds in this border region, saying that their plan is to create a 32-kilometer deep safe zone right here along the border, and that no Kurdish forces are allowed to be here. The plan was to then resettle Syrian refugees currently living in Turkey. It's a brutal campaign that looks a lot like what Syria was doing to the Kurds in the 70s. The US completely abandons the Kurds, even after using them to fight their enemy ISIS. Turkey, a NATO and US ally, continues to bomb them, using weapons from the United States. They spend the next 4 years sending drone strikes and airstrikes into Syria and Iraq, anywhere they think the PKK has a presence. This map shows all of their attacks during this time. You can see that it's not just against the Kurds in Turkey, but across this whole region. Today,
all right, so boom. So this is why Saudi Arabia, this is why Saudi Arabia that is beefing with what's this shit called, Iraq, because Iran, because when Iran was beefing with Iraq, the people, America blew down a passenger's jet. America blew down a passenger's jet. So when America blew down a passenger jet, they said they would never fuck with America again. So America fucked with Saudi Arabia. Never gonna fuck with them again. What's up, GG?
I hear the topic. I hear y'all cruising and grooving. Salute, peace, and love. But I heard you speak on Iraq situation. I know the current Iran-Israel situation. But one thing I want to bring up that y'all didn't discuss or mention is that once they got Saddam out of the picture, because after Desert Storm and all that shit, he was still being a little rebellion. Like he was just laughing. So boom, the situation occurred with him, and then guess who they target after they got him eliminated? Y'all don't know who they went after next?
Who? Osama bin Laden?
Nope. Gaddafi, bro. Gaddafi. I think if I'm not mistaken, he was the leader of Syria. It's another Muslim, you know what I mean? One of those Arab countries in Africa.
Yeah, I know who that is. I know who that is. Actually, he still runs that shit. He's still the dictator.
No, he's not. He's dead. He's dead, bro. They killed him. And you want to know why? You want to know why they executed him?
Yeah.
Because he already solidified himself. He already had all the minerals, all the riches. He had like a buku, like supply of gold, precious metals. But they wanted him to agree to convert into like, I wouldn't say like the NATO, but I think it was something to do with currency. Like they wanted him to fucking start using a dollar. I wouldn't say it was the American dollar, but it's a certain dollar that they wanted him to do. Just put currency, right? And he disagreed. So they went at him. They went at him because they were telling him, you saw what happened to Saddam. Because Saddam didn't want to fucking follow the rules. I mean, I don't remember the specifics of it, but if you do the research on it, it's along those lines. So he declined. He said, nah, I don't want your fucking money. We already got our religion. We're good over here. My people, I don't want them associated with the West. And they were just like, they gave it time. He didn't agree. And then boom, they targeted him. They started sending fucking like the rebellions, like those little insurgents. They started sending the insurgents fucking shit up. And then finally it got to the point when he started striking back. I think he started throwing some like chemical fucking weapons and shit, just bombing shit with fucking harmful gases. And that's when the US went in. But then they went in to label him like Saddam. But then once they're there, they just refund everything. They just suck everything up. They took them for the precious metals. They took and then Lord behold, they said that geographic, that fucking piece of land on the earth had a fucking buku fucking bayou of fucking oil underneath. You see what I mean? Like there's always another motive, but they only tell us, the media, how they want to kind of brainwash us, or they just want to make that polite lie. But it's all double talks. If you know, you know. And if I'm not mistaken, bro, I think they either when they punished Gaddafi because he didn't want to give in, I think they executed him by fucking hanging him. They either hung him or I think they did something. It wasn't like the death penalty over here where they just boot you up with liquid. They did them dirty, bro. They did them dirty, bro. They didn't even just let them rot in jail. They just fucking they executed them, dog. I forget how they did it, but it was like severe. Like you would never get punished like that over here. Like they used their law.
You talking about Saddam Hussein? Saddam Hussein?
Nah, I'm talking about Gaddafi, bro. I'm talking about Gaddafi.
Yeah, I'm saying that was after Saddam Hussein. After they targeted Saddam, you said that they targeted Gaddafi after.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And he got the same severe punishment, or if not more, bro. Yeah. But that's all.
After that, what's happening? So Israel. So why Israel's beefing with Iran? Do you know why?
Because they have allies. They have NATO, and plus they a threat. The world's gonna protect the holy city. That's what it is.
I'm saying why Israel's beefing with Iran. Iran's the holy city. What are you talking about too? Humanity was born in Iran, I think. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's all holy land.
I mean, but I'm saying that's what I mean. They've been warring over religion for thousands of years.
Yeah. So
you
it's a religion thing?
Yeah, facts. It starts there. I wouldn't say as a whole you can't label it, but I just feel like they intimidated because they know what they're capable of. You know what I mean? They have a stockpile of fucking weapons of mass destruction, and you sit literally on the map. It's like you're so close to them. It's like
they big. They mad big. Pause.
Yeah, like if I choose to go, you're coming with me type shit. So that's why they're all, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm ready for the war. You know what I'm saying? You think I'm good? You see my weapon? You see my weapon of choice?
Nah.
Look at it.
I'm on the phone. I'm driving. I can't really
I got the knife. I got the sword, nigga. Samurai sword.
Oh shit.
Nigga, you gonna need bombs strapped onto your body, nigga. You talking about motherfucker? You go.
What if what if someone comes up and shoots you? What's that sword gonna do to a gun?
You heard
your ass need grenades. You need rocket launchers.